The left is still freaking out. Wow, Trump's enriching himself off the taxpayers. No, wrong. But here's a U.S. senator saying it anyway.
Donald Trump has figured out that he can sue the federal government. He can basically sue himself, and then he can settle that case to make himself billions of dollars. Essentially, it's larceny. He's stealing your money, and he's using a court case as pretext.
Hey, Chris, my senator, unfortunately, Trump's not making billions of dollars off the government. In fact, he's not even taking a paycheck. So technically, you, Chris, are taking more money from the government than he is. But let me explain why Trump was suing the federal government in the first place. And I'll do it like you're 5, because clearly you aren't winning any IQ tests recently. See, when the federal government was run by idiots and Democrats like you, Senator Murphy, there was this guy named Charles Littlejohn who used to work for the IRS. He had high-level access, who is, by the way, now in jail for 5 years. And why is that? Well, Carl, I'll tell you. Because he accessed secure, locked, specific, need-to-know information that were, in fact, Trump's tax returns. Actually, the whole family's tax returns, about 100 other people from the Trump organization, along with 400,000 other people's tax returns. Then he leaked it to the New York Times and ProPublica. Yeah. He was convicted of that. That's not an opinion. That's a proven fact in court. And under U.S. Code 267431, it's a $1,000 fine per disclosure. Charles Littlejohn worked for the IRS, ergo, Trump sued the IRS for the disclosures for his returns and, like I said, 100 other people who worked for him. That was distributed through thousands of other publications, additional disclosures, that reached $10 billion in violations cumulatively. That was a mathematical equation done by lawyers, not some random number that he picked out of the air. So tell me again, Chris Murphy, what is the scam?
I know it's hard to keep track of all of these scams Donald Trump is running to make himself rich.
Right. You know, I was watching this today. It's this kind of reminds me of that Jeff Foxworthy and Bill Engvall skit, stupid people should wear signs. So you know they're stupid, and you just don't ask them anything. Hey, what do you think about Trump, Chris? Oh, never mind. Saw your sign. Just going to leave this one alone. That would save me a ton of time. Anyway, people like Chris Murphy must have some weird case of selective amnesia, because I remember him sitting silently by while the Biden administration gave, and I'm not exaggerating here, $5 trillion in grants over his first 4 year, or his only 4, thank God, 4 years in office, much of which went to programs in states like, I don't know, Minnesota, where Somalis stole it. Billions, 10 billion, 9 billion, something like that. Sent it back to Mogadishu. That wasn't a scam, right, Chris? Or the hundreds of billions of dollars California has spent on homeless people while the population has gotten worse. Or the $100 billion he spent on a high-speed rail that never got built. Or the millions in money that flowed into Newsom's wife's nonprofit, where she got paid pretty well. Or that Michigan Democrat donor Faye Badon, who got $20 million in grants. Oh, how about the EPA that rushed billions out the door before Trump took office, right after Trump won the 2024 election, that random nonprofits got. Don't forget about the hundreds of billions in COVID loans that were going to completely fraudulent organizations, or the $30 million in federal student loan aid to dead people. Billions in home health care fraud that Dr. Oz has been completely all over. You've got Medicaid fraud and tax fraud and cashing welfare checks after the recipient has been dead for years. Not a word from Chris Murphy there, but Trump bad. Democrats used government, taxpayer dollars, to go after Trump, where Biden's White House worked with Fannie Willis in Fulton County to charge him in a state RICO case to ensure, if he ever won again, which he did, thankfully, he could not pardon himself. Fannie Willis actually got thrown off the case for bad ethics, so the case got thrown out, but only after Democrats used his mugshot for almost every campaign ad in the 2024 election. Now that hangs outside the Oval Office, by the way, because Trump owned you. The White House sent a top 3 DOJ official, Michael Colangelo, all the way down the chain to work for Manhattan District Alvin Bragg to make maybe one misdemeanor accounting error. They turned that into 34 felony counts somehow. Then they locked him in a courtroom at the height of the campaign trail to take him off the trail. You had Reid Hoffman, one of the biggest liberal donors, prop up E. Jean Carroll to make up a story about how Trump raped her when she couldn't name any details about that. Then they had the New York State legislature change the statute of limitations so they could charge Trump with it, and claims that you couldn't prove in a criminal court, even in deep blue New York, by the way, which is why they declined to do it in criminal court, which in civil court got an $83 million judgment against Trump that was just paused by a higher, less biased court. You impeached Trump for a phone call to Ukraine at the word of some low-level, insubordinate, chubby army officer for asking about the left's corruption. You spent $40 million, Democrats, on a Russian collusion scam that you guys knew wasn't true. Found nothing in a multi-year investigation. They same Democrats went after Trump for an insurrection when we now know that the FBI, through the deep state, had over 274 FBI agents, informants, and assets in the crowd, and then targeted people who were apparently so militant and rowdy that they actually walked inside the rope line set up in the Capitol dome that you then threw in solitary confinement without trial. They had the FBI raid Donald Trump's home of Mar-a-Lago for documents that were mostly sent down there by Biden's White House and the National Archives, the same people who said they needed them back so bad. The very people who said he shouldn't have them wanted them back after sending it. But then they brought classified cover sheets with them to lay everything out and put them over them so they could stage pictures, where there were authorized deadly force on that raid of the former president of the United States. You think about how crazy this is. The entire federal government was the left slush fund to do whatever they want.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.